So issue 16 is an early appearance of Mystique, as in genetics, and she gets exposed to the Terrigen Mist and gains powers. I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comics for over 40 years, and I'm showing off my collection one box at a time. Today we're looking at box number 110. We are going to get caught up to the present on Moon Knight. Then we've got some Morbius and some other things, and then we are going to get into Ms. Marvel. So it's a great time. Hope you'll like and comment and subscribe. Those are all great things for the channel. If there's anything inside any of these packs you'd like to see, be sure to comment and let me know, and I'll make a special video just for you. So here, let's get going here on Glenn Simpson's Comics. All right, so we pick up where we left off with Moon Knight. I think this is the latest series. Yeah. Well, kind of. It's the last one that is actually just named Moon Knight. We've got issue 21. And we go through issue 25 with the variant edition of that. Then issue 26. Some Moloids, which are minions of the Mole Man. Say that 3 times fast. With the Harvest Moon, with the other priest of Khonshu. And issue 30. So Moon Knight dies. Mark Spector dies. So then we have a few random miniseries, most of which we'll see before Mark comes back. So issue 30 there. There were some annuals for that series, one of which was this one, a little homage to the first appearance of Moon Knight there. This other annual that was they quit numbering them. Every annual is annual 1, which is tied into this Infinity Watch thing where different people are getting Infinity Stones. We've got this kind of anthology series, Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood. So all the stories that are told there, they only use black and white and red in terms of coloring. Issue 1 through issue 4. Little mini series, kind of ran at the same time as the regular series. I believe this came out right around the time or right after the TV show, and the goal was pretty much obviously to introduce the Scarlet, Scarlet Beetle, Scarlet Centurion, whatever her name is, that was introduced in the show. Female Moon Knight-like character. Moon Knight, City of the Dead 1 through issue 5. There. Was it Scarlet Pharaoh? No. Shoot. Moon Knight, Divided We Fall, one shot. Bill Sienkiewicz cover. There. Then we get to, so this is actually, I used that in the last video we saw like the second Moon Knight series that said Fist of Khonshu Moon Knight, and that actually might have said Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu in the indicia, but like everybody just treats that as Moon Knight Volume 2, so I bow to peer pressure on that. But so this is either the first or second Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu, and as of recording, this is the series that's coming out. So they had an issue 0 on that. get to issue 1. Got a little variant on that cover. Issue 4. There. Issue 5. There. That would be issue 8. So this would be the Alex Ross Timeless variant, which, you know, hey, you know, they actually were able to match the character up with a book on this one. 9. This was kind of a funny storyline where, so Moon Knight finds out there's this new, you know, gang criminal guy who is, you know, running the streets and doing bad things to people. So he goes out there to beat him up and stop him. And it turns out he's an Asgardian. So he's, you know, in Thor's strength class. And so Moon Knight gets his butt kicked till he kind of has, so he has to kind of retreat and find a new approach there. This is issue 9 through issue 12. And then we've got, sorry, they keep wanting to slide off. Then we've got some individuals that I haven't, like, this is kind of a new thing. I've been putting the books that I just got in these boxes towards the front, so at least I can kind of, that makes it a little easier to show you guys. You probably would have seen these in a unboxing video. That's 13 and 14. They're not quite ready to, you know, file away officially yet. Let me make sure I put them somewhere. And we've got Moon Knight Saga. These were kind of one-shots that would catch people up on the history of characters. There. Moon Knight Silent Night. A one-shot. Christmas. There. Alright, Moon Knight Special Edition. There were 3 issues, and these reprinted. In the last video, I talked about this, that Moon Knight, some of his earliest appearances were in in backup stories in Hulk magazine, which was a magazine size publication. This similar to Savage Sword of Conan. Marvel figured out if they did things in that larger magazine size, they didn't have to follow the comics code rule because they weren't comics per se, something like that. So they could, you know, show boobies and things. And so Moon Knight had some stories they had a Hulk book like that. And actually going back to my Hulk video, I talk about that as well as what was eventually done with those stories, because they were kind of out of continuity. But anyway, so this reprints those Hulk stories. And so that's issue 1 through issue 3 right there. All right, we have officially, the moon has set, but it's still nighttime because it's time for Morbius. It's Morbin time. Morbius had first appeared over in Amazing Spider-Man. He was a vampire character. He came about at a time when the comics code said you couldn't really have vampires. So his deal was that he wasn't like a dead, brought back to life type vampire, normal type vampire, that he was a, quote, living vampire. And he was, you know, a living person who needed blood to survive and would get, you know, had all the other, you know, could fly and had all the other attributes. But so then in the 90s, DC decides to do this sort of Midnight Suns line of comics. with all of their, a lot of their spooky Ghost Rider type characters, and they would cross over with each other a lot, and that kind of thing. I presume, since they did it for so long, that it was a boon to Marvel's bottom line there. So anyway, Morbius #1 through #4, obligatory Spider-Man crossover. Maybe not so bad, since it came from the original, from the book. Issue 5 there through issue 8. Issue 9. I don't remember if I ever finished this. I think I did. Issue 9 through, that would be issue 12. All of the books tied into this crossover, and this line did the black cover thing. Issue 13. Issue 16, once again, this was the Siege of Darkness. This time there is an image back there. I guess it kind of comes through. It's just really hard. You got to really look closely to see it. It's like it's dark, but it's, you can still see a little bit. Maybe somebody said, hey, let's not just do black covers again. Alright, then we've got issue 17. More Siege of Darkness. There. Through issue 20. Bloodthirst. There. Through issue 28. Go. 29. I guess I don't have all of these. Through 32. I believe that's the last issue, but I'm missing 31. So then you got another series in the Marvel Now period. Story. Issue 1. Issue 5. There. I believe this might have been, well, no. Okay. Issue 6. Spider-Man. Through issue 9 of that. Then another series. Issue 1 through issue 5 on that. Then there was this Morbius Revisited. So similar to like the original Ghost Rider returns and things like that. Reprints some older Morbius stories probably from, I think he was in the Fear magazine, Adventure into Fear magazine. Issue 1 of that. Through issue 5 of that. And so the Morbin time is over. We've got a couple of facsimiles and reprints, more fun comics, Number 73. I forget, that's the first of something. First Spectre. And first Dr. Fate, I think. Terrible. I'm terrible with remembering first appearances and stuff. Then 101, which the reason this one was reprinted is it is the first issue of More Fun Comics, or the first Superboy story. There. Then we've got the series Morlocks. So the Morlocks are mutants, like the X-Men, but they are, generally speaking, the ugly mutants. This is back when, you know, there weren't a gajillion mutants, but there was a cluster of them in New York. And so the idea was the pretty mutants got to be X-Men, but the ugly mutants had to be Morlocks, and they lived down in the sewers and had their own little world down there. So this is a spin-off of series of that. Issue 1 through issue 4, written by Jeff Johns. Gracious. Morningstar Special. So Morningstar spins out of the Elementals from Comico, which were 4 superheroes, each one with the, you know, earth, wind, fire, and water powers. She was the fire elemental, and she got a one-shot here, in which she has an adventure. Just remembering, she had some other things that happened to her in her life that I remember, but I wasn't sure. I was trying to remember if any of it happens here. So there you go. Mosaic. So Mosaic, his deal was, so Marvel, so we go back to one of the higher-ups in the ownership of Marvel says, hey, why are we putting out all these X-Men books when we don't own the rights to 100% of the X-Men movie franchise? So let's downplay the X-Men and let's do something else. And so then they start creating the idea for Inhumans, that there are people who had Inhuman genetics, and so there's this big cloud of Terrigen, which is the stuff that activates Inhuman powers, that goes around the world, and people get turned into Inhumans if they had those genetics. So it was just an excuse to have a lot of new superheroes that were kind of tied together in a way, but you didn't have to have, you know, explicit origins. And then the idea was, hey, let's push these and make them bigger than the X-Men, and then we can make movies and TV shows, and we'll make all of the money. But that is not how it worked out. People did not care as much about the Inhumans as they had the X-Men. And I always remember this for 2 reasons. One is, you know, when people say, well, why doesn't, you know, DC or Marvel do more to push these other characters so they'll be more popular? I'm like, yeah, have you looked at the Inhumans? That was them doing everything they could to get people to buy into it, and people just, you know, didn't want it. That was not what they wanted to read about. They like mutants, they like X-Men. And the other is, when they do diversity, why don't they do it with just new characters? And I point to good old Mosaic. So Mosaic was an African-American basketball player who turns out to be an Inhuman, and he gains the power to kind of like leave his body and jump into the bodies of other people, and it takes him a while to figure out what's going on, but this series does not last very long. People weren't into it. So Mosaic number 1 right there through issue 8, and he shows up a couple more times in the backgrounds of some things, but he has not had a resurgence since then. Alright. Oh, I skipped something. Hang on. I skipped it because it's not really filed away yet, but here are the first few issues I've got of Mortal Thor. Again, not officially filed away yet, but we've got issue 1. All of these would have been seen in the recent unboxing videos, but we got the J. Scott Campbell cover for Mortal Thor #1. And the one minor story about this, so the indicia on these issues just calls this Thor. But not only, of course, does it say Mortal Thor on the cover, but that's how Marvel is like putting it in the solicitations and things like that, which usually those things are consistent with the indicia. So, and they did that with one of the last Iron Man series too. So it gets a little tricky on where to file it. But again, it becomes a peer pressure issue. Everybody's calling it Mortal Thor, so you just got to roll with it. So that's issue 1. That's regular issue 2. And regular issue 3. That. So let's put those where they go. All right, jumping back into the main stuff. Motormouth. Motormouth is one of the Marvel Comics UK series. This woman with powers, and she has a bit of a mouth on her. She curses a lot. And she has adventures. Right there, issue 1. And then at issue 5, somewhere around issue 4 or 5, the Motormouth becomes Motormouth and Killpower. They combine 2 series. So we haven't seen Killpower on a cover yet, but he's coming. Issue 6, there he is. Killpower is your typical huge dude with guns and pouches. There, she's the brains, he's the brawn. I just like her hair. She's cute. 6 through 12. They team up with another. Team up, maybe not be the right word. They appear with another Marvel UK character, Death's Head. There. And we get to the movement. So during the New 52, Gail Simone writes this series. She pulls in some characters she'd used other places, and some over in Batgirl, and then some new characters, and they're kind of a bit of a social movement. They're what some people might call social justice warriors type of things. There's a big weirdness because this came out at the same time as DC did their series, a new series for the Green Team, which was about trillionaire kids that went around having adventures. So it was like you have both sides of that argument coming out. I don't know how much of that was intentional and it just worked out that way. But the movement, issue number 1. Through issue 4, Mouse, not Mouse Man, just Mouse. There. Alright, and the movement continues in issue 5 through issue 12. Right there. I remember there was this guy was like tremendously Christian, but he had fire powers, and he was just couldn't deal with the fact that his powers seemed to be satanic. Just a funny trick there. Alright, then we have Mrs. Deadpool. some of these abbreviations get hard to alphabetize, but I don't think, I know there is a full spelling of Mrs., but that doesn't come into play. You know, how often do you see that? So I stuck with MRS on that one. This is Deadpool and the Howling Commandos. This was one of the mini series that came out of the Secret Wars. She's kind of got, kind of similar to the Creature Commandos. Now, the original Howling Commandos were like regular soldiers, but somebody picked up on the idea, hey, wouldn't it be funny, since they're howling, to use monsters as the Howling Commandos. So, I'm not sure if I can't remember if this is the first time they've done that or what. Issue 1 through issue 4. Deadpool showing up. Ghost of Deadpool. That brings us to, I don't know what, something's falling off of something here. Ms. Marvel. So Carol Danvers had first appeared over in the Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel stories, and she was kind of his Lois Lane. You know, she was a security officer on the base that he was working at, his secret identity, things like that. And so that went on for a while. She had some adventures. There was one particular adventure where she got, you know, she was near where an explosion happened, that kind of thing. So then Marvel decides to come out with Ms. Marvel, making her a superhero. Now, Ms., for those of you who don't know, was a fairly new abbreviation invented in the 1970s. Prior to that, you were either a Miss, M-I-S-S, meaning that you had not gotten married, or you were a Mrs., M-R-S, as we saw with Mrs. Deadpool, meaning you were married, which means that you could be 40 and you would still be Miss, and that just didn't make any sense. So Ms. was invented as a way of saying, hey, I'm an adult, but I'm not married. And they used it for the character. And at first she kind of, you know, it took them a while to evolve the character a little bit. She starts off with kind of a dual personality. She doesn't remember what she did as Ms. Marvel when she's Carol Danvers, but then that kind of fades out and she just kind of, you know, it becomes a superhero who knows what she's doing when she's a superhero. And the belly shirt goes away after a while, as we'll see, but that's issue 1 of Ms. Marvel. Issue 2 of Ms. Marvel. She's running her secret identity. She's running she's become a newspaper a magazine editor, and for a woman's magazine, just to thoroughly add to the women's lib aspect of it. This female fights back, and she that magazine was published by the Daily Bugle, so she was all up in the, you know, with J. Jonah Jameson and all that stuff, and so there's a lot of Spider-Man villains and things that show up. Issue 2. This is where we learn her origin, by the way. Issue 3. There. Issue 5. Vision guest starring. During this time, she'll have some appearances in Defenders as well. Issue 6. There. Through issue 8. Oh, wow, okay. We're going to definitely see the transition here. So we've got corner box, got belly window, issue 8. Issue 9, no belly window. And this is the first appearance of Deathbird, who is from the Shi'ar, who are the enemies of the Kree, which the Kree is what Mar-Vell was, and they so there's an enmity there. And Deathbird shows up every once in a while in all of the Marvel cosmic stuff. Issue 9. Issue 10. This is actually one of my earliest comics. This is not the original copy. But I picked this up at some point. I just will never forget picking up this one on the newsstand. Issue 10. Issue 12. There. Issue 13. Issue 15. Namorita, guest starring. Namorita is Namor's younger cousin. She would go on to appear in the New Warriors series. Alright, then we get to some big boy books. We've got issue 16. So issue 16 is an early appearance of Mystique, as in Mystique and Destiny from the X-Men books. The problem is, I think that in her first few appearances, she is in disguise, so it takes a little while before you see her in her non-disguised form. But issue 16 is, I think she is disguised as someone, but it's her. You find out later that it's her. So that's that. Issue 17, second appearance of Mystique. There. Then 18, I've got first full appearance, which means that this is where you see her in her full blue form. That we're all familiar with. 19 there. So getting into some Kree stuff. All this time she's been running around, and this is like the first time she's kind of hooked back up with Mar-Vell and said, "Hey, look at me. I'm a female, Issue 19 through issue 23. Now, issue 23 is the final issue, but they didn't know it was going to be the final issue. By then, and somewhere in there, she got her new costume. Back in a few videos ago, we talked about the Marvel Superheroes, the quarterly book that reprinted, or finally printed, some of the next couple of stories that were supposed to happen, one of which had Rogue in it, and that is the first chronological appearance of Rogue that had just never been printed before. So there were two stories, one of them with Sabretooth and one of them that had Rogue in it, that were written and drawn, but just not printed after this, because they ended it here. Hang on a sec. Arrange some stuff here on my presentation space. Right, so then, the character was an Avenger. She was in Avengers a lot, had the notorious issue 200 of Avengers, which was badly written, where she gave birth to her, a man impregnated her without her awareness, and she gave birth to him, or and all the male Avengers were like, "Oh yeah, this sounds great." And then she would come back here and there, Mighty Avengers, things like that. And then she got her own series again. So, issue 1, cover by Frank Cho. She was in New Avengers. Frank Cho, and it's kind of hard, you know, it's kind of weird to look at these from a modern point of view, because at this point we've had so much Carol Danvers, self-assured, mightiest hero on Earth, Captain Marvel, that it's really kind of interesting to it's hard to wrap your brain around the fact that at one time she was kind of B-list, unsure of herself, a lot of sexiness involved, just a different kind of character. So there was a big transformation from the Ms. Marvel to Captain Marvel. But anyway, issue 1 through issue 4. Got some Doctor Strange in there. Issue 5. There through issue 12. And Greg Horn comes on to do covers. And yeah, when Greg Horn is doing your covers, it's kind of hard to say that you're, you know, being taken seriously as a superhero. But anyway, issue 12. But they're nice to look at. Issue 13. There. Through issue 16. Issue 17. There through issue 24. Oh, I forgot about Binary. So yeah, at one point, after her original series, she's bopping around, and in that Avengers, in that Avengers 200, the Rogue and Ms. Marvel fight, and Rogue steals her powers, but she takes too much of it, and Carol Danvers becomes completely oblivious. She doesn't remember who she is. She goes off, I mean, she loses all of her powers. Rogue has her powers, so at that point Rogue can fly and is invulnerable, in addition to being able to steal people's powers. And then Carol Danvers goes off into space with the Starjammers and some things like that, and winds up having some other powers awakened in her, and starts going by the name Binary, and then eventually makes her way back to Earth and kind of gets her regular powers back. And so she can occasionally transform into Binary, but she's mostly back to Ms. Marvel. And then at one point, Binary actually becomes a separate entity, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, so this is a flashback to the whole Binary look with the flame powers, cosmic flame type powers. Get to Secret Invasion. Skrulls have invaded the Earth and taken the place of lots of people. 25. And issue 28. The Skrulls have, the Super Skrull has the powers of all of the Fantastic Four at the same time. So turns out they have other warriors who also have the powers of multiple Marvel heroes at the same time. So we get this Captain America, Thor, Colossus, Wolverine, Beast combination right here that the heroes have to fight. Issue 29. of the fight. There. Issue 36, we get away from Greg Horn, do some Phil Jimenez, get back to some different stories. There, 36. Dark Reign. Issue 37. A combo of her regular powers and binary again. Through 42, getting to these kind of a manga-esque look, anime look. So as part of the Dark Reign, the Moonstone character starts wearing the original Ms. Marvel costume, and so she and Carol are going to wind up coming to blows for Moonstone impersonating her. And we see that fight here. And 43. And then we have a variant edition of issue 50, which was the last issue of that series. She had an annual during that Greg Horn cover period. If you ever wanted to see what Greg Horn Spider-Man looks like, there you go. So then we would soon have a return of, or we would have the change rather, of Carol Danvers becoming Captain Marvel instead of Ms. Marvel, and that would go on for a bit, and then they would decide to introduce Kamala Khan as the new Ms. Marvel, and she had a couple of preview appearances in Captain Marvel, cameos and things like that. But this is where her series begins for reals. And that's Ms. Marvel 1 right there. She is originally is one of those Inhumans that I mentioned when I was talking about Mosaic. She has Inhuman genetics, and she gets exposed to the Terrigen Mist and gains powers. And uses them to defend her town of Jersey City in New Jersey. Issue 1. Remember the first few issues, she's all up in costume and everything, but it actually, in the story, it takes a while for her to, get her act together and get a costume and figure out what she got going on. Issue 2. Issue 4. There. She has the powers to make her, it's kind of stretchy powers, or make parts of her body bigger. In the TV show, she's got the sparkly powers. I think it was just easier to and preferable to do it that way on the TV show. And in the latest issues, she started to gain those other powers, as it has been determined that she's not only an Inhuman but also a mutant, because they've kind of moving away from the whole issue 5, moving away from the whole Inhuman thing and pulling her into the whole mutant thing. Issue 5. But while she was an Inhuman, issue 8, she hung out with Lockjaw, the Inhuman's dog, for a while, with his teleporting abilities. Issue 8. And hung out with Medusa, the queen of the Inhumans. There in issue 9. Good boy. Issue 12. Catching Loki. is up to no good. 13. There. Issue 16. So we get to the last days of. You'll see last days of this, last days of that. And that's because they're leading up to the Secret Wars event where all the series end for a bit, and then all the series kind of come back, and most of them, I think, you know, restart at issue 1, even if there's not a significant change. Issue 1, so that's issue 16. Issue 17, teaming up with her idol, Captain Marvel. And issue 19, the final issue of that, her first series. And we get to her second series, issue 1. There, through issue 8. Into the Civil War 2 event. Issue 9. She apparently does not agree with Carol's side of the Civil War II disagreement. Issue 12. There. Issue 13. Through issue 20. Issue 21. Through issue 28. Kind of disappears, and so her friends start dressing up as Ms. Marvel to fill in for her. Nine. Get into all the will they, won't they, love triangle-y stuff. Little Archie play there. 34. Fighting the Shocker. The Shocker. 35. There. Through 38, which is the final issue of that series. She had an annual during that time. Sure. So that is actually okay. So that's the last time. That's the last series that was literally just Ms. Marvel, and she has this annual with the Infinity Watch thing where people get Infinity Stones. She's had Magnificent Ms. Marvel, which we saw in a previous video. And then she has like lots of one-shots and miniseries, but it's like they haven't had just a Ms. Marvel after that. So she had this series of one-shots, Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight being one of them. Marvel was doing this thing where they would do one-shots, and each one is numbered 1, but you know they'll tell you what order you're supposed to read in, which makes it really hard to keep track of the story. Issue 1. They want every issue to be a number 1. That's obviously what they're doing. Issue 1 of Ms. Marvel and Wolverine, which finishes up that story. There was a mini-series called Ms. Marvel Beyond the Limit, which I am missing an issue of. Just accidental failure to order issue number 3. So we got 1, we got 2, got 4, and we've got 5. So get that one of these days. Didn't want to package it up until I had them all. We've got Ms. Marvel Mutant Menace. So this is part of the coming out of the Krakoa era, and she has discovered her mutant heritage, and she finds out she's a mutant like 5 minutes before, you know, Krakoa falls apart, and has to kind of go on the run a bit. But so that's issue 1 through issue 4, although she's getting some help from the Inhumans, ironically enough. Ms. Marvel had a one-shot, just Ms. Marvel Special, I think it's called, during that second series. A little, again, a flashback to her time as Binary. And this additional one-shot Ms. Marvel Storyteller. Ms. Marvel, the New Mutant, written by Iman Vellani, the actress who plays Ms. Marvel Kamala Khan on the Disney Plus TV show. And she doesn't do a bad job. Issue 1 through issue 4 of that. So that is all of the Ms. Marvel. And then I happen to have one issue of Ms. Tree Quarterly. Ms. Tree is kind of a pulp character. She had a quarterly book from DC. This is issue 1. Backup stories with Midnight and Batman. Didn't really get many of these. Not, you know, I'm kind of a superhero guy, but I just picked this up one time out of a $1 box just to see how it went. And speaking of boxes, that's all for this box. Okay, so that was box 110. Next time we'll do box 111. We'll pick up on Multiple Man, some mutant things, some Mystic, let's see, then we'll get into Namor, all of his series that start with Namor, and finish up with some other things. So it's going to be a good time. Hope you'll be here. Always a great time here on Glenn Simpson's Comics. Hope you have a great day.